Well, welcome everyone to Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross, where we are your resource for education, connection, and collaboration to support you on your wellness journey. And I would like to start by thanking our sponsors, Dawn Norby and White Sands Premier Travel, because these sponsored appearances is what makes Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross possible. Now, Dawn's journey is one of resilience, compassion, and transformation. And after her son faced the challenges of idiopathic aplastic anemia and a life-changing bone marrow transplant, their family was granted a wish to golf at St. Andrews Golf Course in Scotland, a trip that provided solace and a strength during their difficult times. But Dawn's story did not end there. Dawn, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So can you tell us a little bit more about your journey and your story? Because I would really love people to kind of understand what you've been through and how you got to where you are.
Absolutely. So back in 2006, my son was diagnosed with idiopathic aplastic anemia. And then in 2011, he developed a secondary disorder. And the only cure for both is a bone marrow transplant. So we immediately put him on the list to get a transplant. And during the time that they were waiting to find a donor and his transplant, the nurses reached out to us and wanted to put my son up for Make-A-Wish. And we said, no, that's for children that have death sentences, basically. And they said, no, it's just for anybody with a life-threatening illness. Like, well, okay. And he chose to go to Scotland to play golf because he is a golfer, just like my husband, my brother, my other son, everybody. And we went to Scotland. We were there for 10 days and they treated all of us, but mostly my son, like royalty. And Make-A-Wish did amazing things for our family. And then we get home and Trevor gets ready for the transplant and they start the chemotherapy to shut down his entire immune system and all these poisons and drugs going into him. And he was just going through so much pain and he was miserable. And he goes, Mom, I just can't handle the pain, but I don't want the drugs. Help me. And so I called his dad and I said, come switch places with me at the hospital. Trevor needs Dad. And he got there and they sat and they talked for about 7 straight hours through the night about every golf shot that he hit in Scotland. And he played 5 different golf courses. So it was a long day and night talking about golf shots, which would bore me to death. And it took his mind off of what the pain that he was dealing with. So it was able to get him through that pain. And the next day I came and he goes, Mom, thank you so much. It was great. And it was then I knew that if this could get my son through all of his treatment and his pain, it's got to help somebody else. So I want to pay it forward and volunteer for Make-A-Wish. And so on with the transplant, everything was great. He was home in 45 days. After about 6 months, they said, Trevor, you're cured. You're great. You look phenomenal. We'll see you once a year just for blood draws. He's like, all right. So I'm excited.
Nice.
Cool. I get to finally concentrate on Make-A-Wish and volunteer. So called them. They were closed for the weekend. Was going to call on Monday. And on Sunday, I found a lump in my breast. And Monday, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So Make-A-Wish gets put on the back burner yet again. And I go through everything that my son went through and the pain. And I just, when I'm in pain or I'm frustrated, can't figure things out, I'll bake. I couldn't do that because I couldn't even stand. My hips hurt so bad. So I just kept taking Tylenol and Advil because I did not want drugs. I didn't want the drugs as well. And finally get through that. I'm deemed cured. Make-A-Wish, here I come. Did all the training. They accepted me. Everything was great. I was so excited. My first wish kiddo, we went and met him. And this poor little pumpkin, 6 years old, dealing with leukemia.
Wow.
And just the weight of the world on this kid's shoulders, and you wouldn't know it. He was just so positive, just like my son. You know, this is just something I'm going through, a little hitch in my get along, as my grandma would say. I'll get through it. And he went back up to bed. And his mom said, can you just help me? I don't know what he's going through. I don't understand the pain that he's going through. And I go, I do. My son does. I can relate. She goes, can you just help me find something with CBD in it to help alleviate his pain? And I'm like, sure, no problem. I went home and I looked up what CBD was. I had no idea what it even was back then. And called a friend who owned a dispensary in California and talked to him and said, it's 6 years old and I don't want any THC. I don't want any psychoactive properties. I don't want him getting high. I don't want anything like that. Can you help me? And he said, yeah, I think I can. So we sat down and went to lunch and he discussed hemp. And hemp does not have any of the THC in it unless it happens to get cross-pollinated from a bee. But that's fine because we use an isolate from hemp. And the way that is when it's processed with water, not chemicals. And it takes all of the CBD and separates it from anything else that might be in there, the CBD, the CBA, CBN, and we keep just the CBD isolate. And I took it home and I mixed it up and made this really nice, thick kind of salve. And I took it back and they put it on him and he came barreling down the stairs, running outside to play with his brother for the first time in 6 months. Wow. And I'm like, I think we got something here. I want to help a lot of these kids with this. And she goes, can I keep this jar, please? I go, absolutely. So it was from there that I wanted to help others that were in pain, that didn't want the pharmaceutical medications. They didn't want the poisons because they're already getting poisoned with these chemos and radiations. And so I started talking with the doctors at the hospital and they started referring my products to their patients that wanted something natural. And that's how a business was born.
Wow. And that's, there's so many amazing things about there. I've seen some of the things that Make-A-Wish, has done, but you got to actually experience it and work with them. So that's got to be incredible for one.
It is a very phenomenal association to be with.
But, and the fact that they were open and welcome to you having something natural, for them as well.
Yep.
Because there's a lot back and forth about that because I think a lot of people just don't understand the difference, like you were describing, between what CBD and hemp and what the THC is, and there's a lot of confusion out there. But
I agree.
Yeah, can you share the emotional impact your son's journey with that anemia and stuff had on you and your family, and how did it shape your perspective on life?
Both my husband and I were shocked to find out that my son, who had never been sick a day in his life and hasn't been since, had something like this. And we were first told that it was leukemia. So get to the hospital. You're going to be there about 3 months, maybe 6, and just enjoy the ride. No, okay. Neither my husband nor myself ever felt it was something that was life-threatening and it was going to be the end of our child. And when we were in the hospital, and my husband was out speaking with the nurses about something, and I was sitting next to Trevor, and he goes, Mom, am I going to die? My heart just sank. And we have always told ourselves we will never lie to our children. And I looked at him dead in the eye and I go, yes, honey, you are. But this is not what's going to kill you. Oh, okay, cool. Let's get done. How a 8-year-old at the time can have that kind of outlook on life. And he was basically forced to grow up because he was pulled out of school for over 6 months and had to do homeschooling. His teacher came to the house and taught him. And yeah, I'm not going to say that I never broke down. I did.
Right.
I had bad days. I would break down emotionally. And my husband, we're a great combination. I never broke down on a day where he was breaking down. And when I was breaking down, he was like, what's the matter? He's fine. Everything's going to be okay. And then a week later, he'd be breaking down. And I go, what is up? He's fine. He goes, it's so hard. And I go, yeah, it is. And we didn't really have anybody to talk to or anyone other than nurses or the doctors that just talked technical. Mm-hmm. I didn't want that. I wanted someone who could be there with their heart and be there for us. And that's something I wanted to be able to do. And I think with the CBD company, I can relate to how these children and or adults are going through this, how they feel, what they're going through. I've been there. I've done that as myself and as a parent.
Right.
So I think that's something that it made our family. We were always go, 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 go. Hurry up. Let's get to the next fun activity and enjoy ourselves. And my children got to the point where they would come running in the house screaming and yelling, Mom, Mom, come here. Like somebody died. Go running outside.
Yeah.
And I go, what? And they go, look at that beautiful sunset, Mom. These are down and dirty boys that are always in the mud and playing sports. And I think we learned how to slow down and enjoy the beauty around us. And it's hard for people to do that. Pardon.
Well, it is, but it's nice to see it come from such young people, because, you know, that was always been my thing, is like I tell people, I don't care what career you're in, we get stuck in these rat races and we just go and go and go until we burn out. But you know, like I said, just because we're being positive doesn't mean we don't have our days. And the fact that you had your husband, I mean, that's great that you were able to complement each other, because, you know, at least you're not both breaking down or melting down at the same time.
Yeah.
So it made a great support. So your son was a golfer, but what motivated him to choose Scotland and St. Andrews?
He wanted to golf where golf began. And it began at St. Andrews in Scotland.
Nice.
And his initial wish was to play at Augusta in Georgia. And Augusta said, no, we don't do that. And my brother was friends with Phil Mickelson, or still is. And Phil said, I'll take Trevor out there. We can golf. And Make-A-Wish said, no, we can't accept favors, because if we have another kid that wants it and he's not available, we can't do that.
Right.
So that's when we told Trevor, we don't want to know your wish. When they come next week, you tell them the wish and we will all be surprised at the same time.
Nice.
And we were.
Yeah. I mean, to think you can't go to somewhere right here in the States, but you can go all the way across to Scotland. They're happy to have you.
It's amazing. And they did. They gave us, we had our own chauffeur basically for the entire time we were there. And they gave us spending money for food, and we got to experience the cashmere company. And they gave my son a huge cashmere blanket that he still uses to this day. And that was 13 years ago. And it's just, it's a great, great, great thing.
Yeah. I think it's incredible, because like you, discussing golf inside and out would bore the snot out of me too. But it was obviously something that your husband and your son shared, that they were both passionate about. And when you're discussing something that you're passionate about, I can relate to how it takes your mind off of pain and everything else going on. So
agreed. Yes.
Yeah. So can you describe the moment that you decided to pay it forward, you know, by volunteering with Make-A-Wish, and what did that commitment mean to you?
Well, you call and you volunteer, and they say, well, we either do have spaces or we don't. And they actually did. Went in, and I did a lot of paperwork for them in the beginning. And they saw that I was there. I was punctual. I was doing everything they asked. And they said, would you like to volunteer to be a wish granter? And I said, absolutely. Absolutely. And the time that I was in the office doing the paperwork and helping out, I got to meet a lot of wish families, that they would come in for their interview, or they would come in and put their star on the wall. They have a big stars, a whole wall full of stars that tells you where they went and when they went. And it's just such a, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but it just melts your heart to be able to pay it forward. And I've kind of always been that way in my life, where I like to do good deeds and not let anybody know that I was the one that did it. It makes you feel better. And then the first wish kiddo I had happened to be the 500th wish for San Diego Make-A-Wish. And we did it at Padre Stadium, Petco Park in San Diego. And he got to throw out the first ball. And this little kiddo wanted a camper to go camping. with his family, because that's what he missed the most, was to be able to spend time with his family, camping away from the hospitals and the doctors.
Nice.
Pardon me. And they were able to get him an entire camper filled with everything. I mean, cutlery and pots and pans and linens and everything. And they put it up on the Jumbotron, and we had it out in the outfield back behind the stadium. And what a feeling. I mean, a standing ovation of so many thousands of people that were there. And to feel this little kid with that much excitement, just, it melted my heart. And I go, I need to do this more often.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm with you. It's kind of hard to describe, but when you take the time to do like something that's really kind of fairly simple or doesn't take much, but it makes such a huge difference in someone else's world. It's a pretty cool and undescribable feeling, but
yes.
So you went through a lot with your son and watching him and his pain, but then in a way you wound up experiencing it yourself with the breast cancer. Would you say it was kind of a combination of the two, or the breast cancer? What do you think influenced your approach to helping others who were suffering?
It was my son and what it did for him. Yeah. To get through my pain, my kid, Trevor, he sat and talked to me. He goes, "Okay, Mom, you're going to start having your hair hurt." And I go, "What?" And he goes, "You remember when I said my hair hurt?" And I go, "Yeah," which I still don't understand. That night, my hair started to hurt, and it hurts. How does your hair hurt physically? I don't know. But when you have chemo, it feels like it's pulling your hair out. So he actually was the one to shave my head, just like I shaved his head. And we were there for each other. And I don't think that's something any parent would ever want to go through or should have to go through.
Right.
But I'm glad I had somebody to talk to, even though at the time he was, I think, 14 or 15 when I was going through my chemo. Mm-hmm. But he is definitely an old soul because of what he went through. And we are now hoping January of 2026, we'll be going as a family and with my mom to Germany to meet his bone marrow donor.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we're pretty excited about that. I keep saying, how do you thank somebody who saved your child's life? How do you thank you doesn't seem even close.
Yeah. So they actually let you know, or the person said they were okay with that. So you got introduced to them.
You have to wait 1 year to make sure that the child or the recipient is okay. Mm-hmm. And then he has to sign a release. Is it okay if these people know you? And my mom is a quilter, so she made him a really big quilt as soon as she found out that he was going to be the donor. And they shipped it to him without any of our information. And we didn't know his information. We just know that he received the quilt. And he goes, "I still sleep with that quilt. Thank you so much." And he will text us and email us on Facebook all the time, wishing him a happy bone marrow birthday to his bone marrow twin. And it's really neat, really, really neat. This man from Germany, we've never met.
Nice.
But he's family.
Yeah, it's incredible how you can kind of help people. Was that through Donor Alliance?
No, it was through the NMDP, National Marrow Donor Program.
Okay. I was just curious. Donor Alliance was when my husband passed, but so obviously there's more organizations out there that do that as well.
Yeah. Become a donor if you're able and you can. Be a donor. Save a life.
Yeah, it really does mean a lot. So when you had that first wish kiddo, what were you mentioned some of the challenges that he faced, but how were you able to connect with his journey, and what was that like?
I think I connected more with his mom and dad to kind of help explain the pain that he was going through, because being 6 and you've never been through anything like this and you don't know, I think it was, and then I also brought my son along one day, and he chatted with the kiddo, and he goes, "Oh, how did it feel when your hair started to fall out?" And he goes, "My hair hurt, Trev." I go, "Yeah, I get it. Did you shave your head?" He goes, "Yeah, it was pretty cool."
Hopefully it was during the summer.
Yeah, really cool. And now this kiddo's hair is really long, and he just started high school this year, so he's doing well, and he's good. But I'm still in contact with their family. I've got 3 kiddos that I was able to grant wishes for before I moved from California out to Texas that I still keep in touch with. And they're all doing great. And they all still think of their wishes.
Very nice. No, and that was a good point that you brought up, because all of this time, people that I've known, I guess the assumption is normally that the chemo makes your hair fall out, which it may, but really probably a lot of them probably do shave their head, like you said, because of the pain and just actually feeling your hair hurt, which is, it sounds weird, but I know people that have experienced that, and that's about the only way to describe it, is that your hair hurts.
Yeah, so bizarre.
Yeah.
And if you haven't had it happen to you, you cannot relate, because your hair never hurts unless somebody's pulling on it. Mm-hmm. And it kind of feels like that, but from every pore in your head.
Yeah. I try really hard not to use the word understand, because even if I go through the same thing as somebody else, to me, I can't understand, because we're different people. We react to things different. We feel things differently, and we process things differently. So
Absolutely.
I'm like you, I always try to say I can relate. I can't say that I understand, because I am not in their skin, but
right.
Yeah. So we have to take a quick break from a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. But we're going to talk more about what inspired you to focus on the hemp isolate, what it does, and what you do to help others. So we will be right back after this message.
Hi, I'm Dawn Norby, and I own Budding Botanicals. We are out of Sulphur Springs, Texas, originally from California, and we make all natural hemp-based CBD products. All of our products are handmade in small batches by us as a family. We do everything all natural. We know where our product comes from seed to sale. And if you are interested in getting any of our products, feel free to join me and learn more about CBD and the help that it can handle and do for you.
So, Dawn, what was the process like for you to create an all-natural salve for your wish kiddo, and what inspired you to focus on the hemp isolate as a key ingredient?
So, talking with many people, doing a lot of research online, not knowing what hemp was, not knowing what CBD was and the differences. So I had a lot of learning I had to do, a lot of trial and error, and everybody just kept coming back from the hospital, the doctors, saying, make sure it's all natural. We can't have anything cause any complications or anything with the chemicals and the meds that we are giving him. And so we just decided to figure out what's the best way to make a salve. Let's figure out how to add the CBD to it. It's got to be a certain temperature, and it's got to be done. I mean, there's so many special little things you have to do for it. And trial and error. And we are so glad that we, to this day, are still using the isolate. So people of all ages, all occupations can use this, because the isolate will never show up as a false positive on a drug or urine test. So we have pilots, we have firefighters, we've got ex-military that are always getting blood tested that use our products. And I'm not going to say I'm the best out there, because I'm sure there might be somebody better than me. I haven't found him yet, but there might. But you want to make sure that when you're looking into CBD, you don't just buy the first one that's the cheapest, because you want to make sure that it's chemically processed, free, no chemicals at all. It's not grown in chemicals, it's not fertilized, it's not anything like that. Then when it's processed, you want to make sure that it's water processed. And that way you get the most pure part of the CBD that you can have. And that way you make sure there's no traces of any chemicals that you are putting in your body or on your body. And I think that's the most important. And that's why we continue to use the hemp, and we don't settle for anything less. With the kids that we have and what they're going through, we could use full spectrum or broad spectrum, which means that there could be 0.03% THC. But why would you do that when you don't need it? The kids don't need the psychoactive properties. Even if it's so nil, it might not show, but it could show up in a drug test or a blood test.
Right. So is that what you mean by when you say from seed to sale? Is that you know that
Yes.
there's no chemicals and all of that? Is that basically what that means then?
Yes, we have great connections and relationships with our growers. It's all natural and organic, and we watch it be processed. It's processed with a water process, and then it comes straight to us, and we know what we do with it, and it's all natural ingredients.
Now, does all the other companies, do they even disclose that or disclose how they make them, or it's not required?
I haven't found a company yet. I'm not embarrassed to say, if somebody wants to know something, I'm going to let them know. I'm going to tell them, I'm going to be honest. That's why we offer on our website free samples. I don't want you to have to go in and buy a large amount if it's not going to work for you. And that's the thing about CBD. It works on 98% of the population. There is 2% of the population that has a certain chemical in their blood makeup that does not allow CBD to be absorbed by their blood. So, but 98% of the people it works on. And with my product, if you put it on topically, you're going to know within 3 minutes at the most if it's going to work for you or not.
Wow. So you should feel something pretty quickly then.
Correct. Usually it's 30 seconds to a minute that you're going to start feeling some relief. But we say 3 minutes because 30 seconds to a minute, people don't believe us.
Yeah, it's one of those things you kind of have to see or experience to believe. But since
Correct.
you do all this on yourself, you also have the ability to adapt it to your client or what they need.
Correct. I mean, the strongest we make right now is a 10,000 milligram tincture. And that is enough to put me asleep for about 17 hours. Wow. Yet my son will take 3 doses of that 10,000 milligram and go function. And he's a toothpick. He's 6'2" and weighs $130, if that. But he uses it for anxiety, and it works for him. But it all depends. Every single person is different. It's kind of like one beer might get me drunk. My neighbor might be able to drink 24 beers and still be sober. So you have to figure out what works best for you and your body. And we recommend, if you're going to try it orally, you try the same dosage for 1 week. And then you sit back and you go, okay, am I feeling a little more tired taking that amount? Or am I feeling pretty good and the pain is gone, or the pain is still there a little bit? Maybe I should take a little more, or you know what, the pain is completely gone. Maybe I can lower that dose. And then you do the same thing for another week until each person finds their correct dosage.
So what does that process look like? I mean, where do you start? How do you know where to start? Like what dose?
I've got a questionnaire on our website, and usually it is the 2 main things I look at is if you're on blood pressure medication, talk to your doctor first, because there's 2 blood pressure medications on the market that CBD can interfere with and make your blood pressure go up and down and up and down.
Okay.
And the other, if you take over-the-counter pain medication, how much do you take to feel relief? And if they take 2 to 4 Aleve every day, every 8 hours, and you're supposed to take 1 every 12 hours, their pain tolerance is pretty high. So I will recommend a higher dosage. But usually it's people are all right around the same when it comes to their pain tolerance. So it's pretty easy for me to do an educated guess, you could say, because I'm not a doctor. I haven't been to medical school. Everything I have learned about CBD, I have learned from trial and error and online and using it ourselves.
Yeah. So what are some misconceptions that people have around that?
That it's a drug, that you can get high, that it is illegal. All of those are myths. It's not true. It's safe to give. I don't recommend it under the age of 4, but there are people that will give it to their infants and toddlers, especially if they have underlying conditions like seizures that would help them, could help them, should help them. You can carry it on an airplane. You can carry it in your purse. It's 100% legal. The biggest myth that, or not even a myth, but the thing that baffled me is our bodies make CBD. We make and produce our own CBD in our bodies. We just don't make enough to have it be effective for anything. And that was the one thing that just totally blew me away. It's like, how can the people, what am I trying to say? The people that make laws, pass laws and such, say that CBD is illegal. Well, then every single one of us should be in jail or something, because we're all making CBD on our own. It's in our blood. We just don't have enough for a medicinal effect.
Yeah, I think it comes down to lack of education and lumping it in with marijuana, the high, the buzz, and everything else. But like you said,
Correct.
You are dealing with an isolate that does not have the THC and stuff in it. Do people have to worry about taking too much?
You can, but the only thing that we know, we've had studies and everything else, the only thing that will do for you is just put you to sleep, and you'll just have a great night's sleep. So I take CBD every night for sleep, and I sleep like a 30-year-old bachelor who has no cares in the world. I sleep through the night. It's great. But if there is an emergency or the tornado warning bell goes off, I can wake up. I can function completely. I don't have any of this dopey feeling or kind of
like a brain
drug
fog
feeling.
Fog,
Yeah, I have no fog, and I can keep going. Yet, if I lay back down, I go right back to sleep. It's amazing. So if I don't get 8 hours of sleep, I don't have any of that fog in the morning. I'm still good to go.
Yeah, I've called it brain fog or fuzzy because your head almost feels like it's just kind of fuzzed until you do something else to like get rid of it. But yeah, I love the natural products that don't give you that. And like I said, it does not like it knocks you out cold. If you have to go, you're going to get up and go in the middle of the night. But it's just that your brain doesn't start getting active. You just go right back to sleep.
Correct. I have noticed that CBD is amazing for many, many different ailments that people have. Like my husband has a really bad back, and I have arthritic hands. And he will say, "How are your hands feeling?" I go, "They're kind of sore." And he goes, "Well, you want to make them feel better. My back hurts." Okay. So I started putting it on his back, rubbing it in. And in the meantime, it takes care of my hands. My hands start feeling looser and stronger, and I can go longer. And it's great for arthritis. It's great for sports injuries. My son had to have rotator cuff surgery, and we helped him with that. After the incision closed up, we put it on, and he healed so much quicker, got off of those pain meds that they put him on after the surgery. It got rid of my neuropathy and Trevor's neuropathy after we had all of that stuff going on. It's great for athletes or people that like to work out and work out a little too hard and get the sore joints, the sore legs from leg day, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety, it's great. My son's got anxiety. It's all pretty much gone unless he forgets to take his CBD. It's good for ADD and ADHD as well, as opposed to the over-the-counter and the medications that the doctors prescribe. There's no side effects for it. So we've got a lot of that is taking over for those medications. And CBD is all natural. And you can take it as a capsule, or you can take it as a tincture and put it under your tongue. It's simple.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so you make capsules, you make tinctures, and you make salves. Is there a
Yes.
particular time when one's better than the other, or does it depend on the person or what they're trying to get rid of?
Um, if you've got inflammation in your body, like arthritis and joint pain, it's better to take it orally because it works in your body and it can help alleviate some of that pain. And it doesn't get completely rid of all of your pain. That's not what CBD does.
Right.
But it makes it where you can live with it. And most of the time, you probably won't even remember it's there. So that's the good part, is you want something that will help you forget the pain and live your life again.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard when, especially if you're like in rehab and stuff, and you're supposed to get up and you're supposed to move, but you're in so much pain you don't want to move. So I would think it would at least help alleviate the pain so you can start to move and build those muscles up without having all the painful experience of it.
Agreed.
Yeah. So what are some of the most rewarding experiences you had while you were volunteering for Make-A-Wish and creating natural remedies for children?
Just the smiles and the emotions that you feel, and the families that you see that are being helped. It's an overwhelming calm that you get, and your heart just explodes with gratitude. Right? To be able to do that and help out when you know they're going through something so horribly, horribly bad, and the parents have no control over what is happening to their child. To be able to be there and say, hey, I kind of know what they're going through. Try this and see if it helps them. If it doesn't, no skin lost. But to help them, and then the parents say, well, can I use it? I mean, I hurt. Of course, try it. Go for it. But to see the happiness on people's faces, and I mean, we have a lot of military down in San Diego where we used to live. And I still have a client dealing with Agent Orange, and he was shaking so bad he couldn't feed himself. He couldn't drink his coffee by himself. He needed help with everything, and just really bad shakes. And we gave him some tincture. And I said, just try this. Probably won't do anything, but just, humor me. Try it.
Right.
He called me 2 days later crying, and he goes, you've given me my dignity back. And those are the reasons I do what I do. I don't do it to make money. I do it to help others that otherwise, A, can't afford their medications, B, don't want those medications. I want to go all natural. I want to try something that God put on this earth that wasn't made by a machine.
Right.
That's why I do what I do. And that's what gives me my joy.
Yeah. So speaking of the military, do you know of anybody? Has it helped them with PTSD and other things like that? Or
a lot? It has, and it does. Yes, I have helped quite a few with that. Unfortunately, I haven't helped all. That would be my dream, that we have no more suicides or anything like that. That would be the ultimate dream. But yeah, I do a lot of education. I like to reach out to people and go and explain CBD, give you a sample and try it. Because if you can't try it first, how do you know if it's going to work?
Right. Yeah. And I think sometimes that's what stops, a lot of people, or because it comes in a hassle where if it didn't work to try and return it, but
right.
But it's a really nice alternative for those that have been suffering. Can you discuss maybe any of the other significant changes or improvements that you've witnessed besides the ones we've discussed?
We had a patient that was really bad with seizures, and she was able to control her seizures and start driving again. We have a couple kids that have they're on the spectrum with the autism and things like that, and it helps them calm down and be able to just focus more. Usually they're just all over the place and they're having a hard time and they can't focus, and Agitated Easy. This calms them. It's been shown to calm a lot of people. And then girlfriend, her son was very severely ADHD all over the place. And now he's straight A student because he can sit and focus.
Nice.
These are just some cases. And I'm not saying it's going to happen to every single person out there. But right. In my opinion, it's better than talking to a doctor and getting medication, having the side effects of not knowing what these side effects are going to be or when they hit, or it might cure one area, but it will put them into another area of dysfunction because they're so high on medication or whatever. And there's not with this. I mean, we make it for animals as well that have the separation anxiety, that get way hyper when company comes over, or they're so old that their arthritis, they're just filled with arthritis and they can't move around anymore. Well, it helps alleviate all of that pain. So we're glad that we've taken our products and been able to put it with pets, with kids, with adults, with so many people. And we just keep experimenting and coming up with new products all the time.
Yeah, you and I'll definitely have to talk because some of us, our pets are not pets; they're our kids. I have an adopted.
That's right.
I have a service dog that's adopted, and he's been trained to be with you 24/7. And if he's not, he has serious anxiety. And he's going to be 13, so the liquid collagen has been helping him, but the joints, are still a little bit. But I've got him on liquid collagen to help him. But yeah, we need to talk, or anyone else that has their fur kids. I'm a fur mom, so I can relate to fur kids.
That works. That works.
So, what advice would you give to other families navigating similar health challenges when it comes to finding hope and healing?
Don't do it alone. You don't have to do it alone. Reach out to the nurses. They have access to groups out there. They have access to other people that have gone through what you're going through. We're on a list where if there's a child going through what our child went through and the parents have questions, they give them our phone number, and they have those available. Don't try to go through life or these situations alone. Get some help. There's people out there that have been through what you're going through. Get their experience.
Yeah, and support, if nothing else, their knowledge, their support.
Correct.
Like you said, it may not be the exact same, but if you've been through something similar, then you could definitely relate.
Yes.
Yeah. So looking ahead, what are your goals for the future of your business and your mission to support families facing health issues?
My pipe dream is to get everybody off of pharmaceutical medications. That's my ultimate goal. I don't see that happening in my lifetime, but for each one that I can give them a sample of CBD and see if they like it and they try it and it works for them, I'm one person closer to reaching that goal. It's amazing how good the stuff that's here on this earth that is natural from our soil and from the sun and the water is good for us, and how it helps us, doesn't hurt us.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And that's a huge goal. And I love you for it. I always tell people, I said, even if I could just help one person, then I feel like I'm doing my job and I'm happy. But yes, ideally, yes, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our ancestors were much healthier without all of this stuff around, the chemicals. We should have learned from them. Let's go back to that and learn. Let's quit putting stuff in our food and stuff in the ground that's going to get into our food.
Yeah, it's like we want everything yesterday. So now we've done stuff to modify things to make things grow quicker when they didn't do all that, back then. And from what I understand, some of it is related to ADHD and all this stuff, because some of it can be a change of diet. You don't necessarily have to throw them on medications for it. But being military myself and being around it, I've seen that whole vicious circle of throwing them on one drug, but then giving them another drug to counteract it. And the drugs just pile up instead of looking to see that this might have been a side effect from that drug. What can we do differently?
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
vicious cycles we get in. What is the best way for people to connect with you and get a hold of you?
The website, we've got a questionnaire that you can fill out. That is great. Our phone number's on there. The website is buddingbotanicalsca.com or buddingbotanicalsusa.com. And we're usually pretty good. All of us are pretty good about answering emails pretty quickly. You can also sign up and get free samples sent to you. We just charge the minimal amount for shipping. We don't charge any handling prices. I don't agree with that. I'm not handling anything. I'm just shipping it. So we charge just a flat shipping fee. And usually if you order one, we like to throw in a couple other samples just because we'd like to do that. We're on Facebook at Budding Botanicals, and we're on Twitter at Budding CA, I believe. And we don't have LinkedIn yet. You can find me. I'm on LinkedIn, Dawn Norby. But we're around. We're here. We're ready to go big, and we love just educating people, helping them out.
Do you have any plans of creating your own YouTube channel to put up little videos to help educate people? Or
I've got people trying to get me to do that. I'm slowly getting into that through podcasting with people like you, because I'm not comfortable in front of a camera. I don't enjoy that. I'd rather just do one-on-one speaking with people and educating them. And I know I can reach a larger audience. I just don't have the courage yet to do that.
Oh, I think you're doing just fine, and you're doing a wonderful job, if you ask me.
Thank you.
So we still have a few minutes left. What are some other things that you would like the audience to take away and you want them to know?
CBD comes in a lot of different things. We have made a DEET chemical and processed free mosquito repellent lotion. So if you've got kids or yourself, you don't want the DEET chemicals, we've got the mosquito repellent lotion. We've got body lotion. We've got, we just came out with a new product. It's chemical-free sunblock. And that was because my brother called and said, "Hey, sis, I got all this skin cancer." And the doctor is saying it's probably from all of the chemicals I put in my body from the sunblock that's over the counter. So we worked on that, and being golfers, they're the ones that have to okay this, make sure it's not greasy on their hands for their golf clubs. So that was a lot of trial and error, but we got that out there, and we just created a product for cold sores, fever, blisters, and RSV that has gotten phenomenal feedback from people. And then we have our X-Itch that is great for people that forget to buy their mosquito repellent and they have bug bites. And it's also phenomenal for psoriasis and eczema patients. And it's, of course, all natural, just like everything else is. So we have a very large variety of products, and we are now working on a hair care line to help improve our hair growth and the strength of our hair.
And so it won't hurt.
Yes.
I would say, I don't know if you're aware, but there's actually some destinations, I think some are in Mexico and other places, but there are some destinations that you can't just bring your sun lotion and put it on because it's bad. It hurts the coral, it hurts the sea life, it hurts everything else. So it has to be eco-friendly and natural. So you normally have to get them there. I would imagine your sunblock would qualify for that.
I think it would. I think it would.
That's another place you could reach out and expand to.
We go. I like that.
So
perfect.
I love all the stuff that you have coming up. And you guys, it's a family-run business, right? You do it all at home?
It is. It is. We make everything. We make it in small, controlled batches, and we make it, we bottle it, we label it, and we sell it, and we ship it. So I know where it is. If you have a question, ask. I can tell you where it was, where it came from, what went into it, and how it got to you.
And a lot of things nowadays, you can't do that. It comes from 10 million different places, and who knows who handled it on the way. So, so yeah, I think it's wonderful what you're doing, and I'm so glad that you decided to take that journey. and be able
Thank
to
you.
put these products together for everybody. Do you
Thank
still
you.
volunteer
Appreciate
for
your
Make-A-Wish?
They don't need anybody out here in Dallas yet, near Dallas, but I am on the wait list and hoping I get to real soon.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Well, we all now know that you where you are and that you're available. So I would definitely highly recommend anyone that has any struggles with any of the things we've talked to. You can't beat free samples and being able to get right to the person that made it, knowing where it came from. That's just a rare find nowadays. So I really appreciate the fact
Thank
that you
you.
guys take the time to do that, and you have a lot of passion and pride for doing that.
We do. We do.
Well, Dawn, thank you so much for joining us. And like I said, everybody, reach out to Dawn. As you can see, she's very knowledgeable. She's easy to talk to. And let's see if we can't help get some more people off those nasty medications, because
Yes.
that would be wonderful. So
That would. Thank you so much.
thank you. And everybody, we will see you next week. Have a wonderful week.